Howdy everybody, I'm Colrain, or Colrain Tarot here on YouTube. Today we're going to do what is your next relationship, and we're going to just get a look into the future of what you're possibly manifesting in terms of a romantic connection, something that is going to come and change your life and help you understand more about the way that you connect with the world, the way that you see things romantically, and the type of relationship you are drawing towards yourself right now. So this is going to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighthearted, and we're possibly just going to see what you need to know, what your spirit guides want to prepare you for, and if you need to do anything else in order to bring in the relationship that you want and be prepared for it as well. Otherwise, I'm going to show you all of the cards, and I'm going to continue to have it be a face-to-face type video for the rest of the video. So let's do the pile selection part. Okay, so here are the piles that we're going to be dealing with today for selection. I want to encourage you to take some mindful breaths, and I'd also like to lead you in somewhat of a meditation right now so that we can center and ground ourselves and get in touch with our true higher self and our truer expression that is going to connect us to our intuition as we are selecting piles. So we have pile 1 here with the stripy rock, pile 2 with the angelite, pile 3 with this little pink granite piece, and pile 4 with the fire opal. So if you could take a couple seconds to just breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you've centered yourself and you've selected a pile, either you can pause now. Once you've selected a pile, I'm going to have the time stamps in the description as usual. We're going to get into pile 1. Howdy pile 1. So if you selected pile 1 or this stripy rock, this is going to be your future romantic connection reading. Okay, pile 1, let's get into your oracle cards. So I'm putting the oracle card that was on top to the side as a later message, a closing message, but that's from a deck that I made myself. So with the 2 cards that we have from the Buddha Wisdom deck, these are describing you and your person. So this first card describing you is Garuda, who is the protector of the serpent race, and it says, "Raise your eyes to a bird in flight to connect to the divine." Garuda is fire energy and strong and passionate. Garuda is also somebody who exerts more masculine energy. Regardless of your gender expression, this is somebody that is protective and also likes to have that outward expression of themselves. Garuda, also describing you, is, I think, reflective of the past hurts that you may have experienced in relationships and the certain amount of guardedness that you enter a relationship feeling because of the past. This also to me describes some kind of trauma response that you may have, which is blocking the emotions that you felt in the past using trauma responses. And for this pile, I do think that it has to do with career, with having that sort of covering up by busying yourself. So covering up those emotions that you may not want to face by making yourself inaccessible to be able to face those things. So we also have this other card from the same deck, which is the Ecstatic Dakini, or the Lion-Headed Simamuka. Old age brings wisdom and fierce certainty. So this card is describing your person, or the person that you are going to meet, or I think that most of you haven't met this person. I do feel like this is a more far off energy from you once you do a little bit more work to be able to get to this place. Because I do think that we attract the right relationship at the right time when we are ready to be able to receive this person. Because I do feel like this person, excuse me, I do feel like this person is older than you. I do feel like this person has some life experience or is more experienced than your past partners. I do feel like, not to say like in terms of like sexual energy or like the amount of relationships that they've had, but I do feel like this person is more, they have some wisdom that has to do with emotional intelligence. So I do feel like this person is also more spiritual than your past partners, and they're going to push you to be at a higher spiritual level. They could possibly be studying spirituality as well, or be into some kind of witchcraft. I'm getting the sense from this person that this person is more into the esoteric arts, so some kind of occult practice. They have interests in studying into their own spirituality, and I feel like in some capacity it's going to raise your ability to be a spiritual practitioner as well. So this person is just going to connect with you on a spiritual level, and that's what's being reflected there. So I asked for first the biggest challenge that you may have from the tarot cards. This is the Wildwood Tarot deck, and we got the 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Stones, which says tradition. So I feel like this, and also this person is by themselves, and I definitely feel like that reflects you, pile 1. So you may be somebody, like I said before, you've had things in the past with this tradition word. You've had things that maybe you felt are almost habitual for you in a relationship. You've had certain routines that you enter. And this has made it so that you feel that you've come to expect certain things from a relationship, and also that you have to do things by yourself. There's something about you having to go at it alone and feeling like you don't really have all that much help from your guides or any being that is like a spiritually ascended being that's not in physical form. I do feel like there's something about this group that has a lone wolf type of vibe. You think that there are not enough people that are going to really get you and really understand you, and when you come to expect that, it's going to be harder for you to manifest a partner, specifically like for romantic terms, that is going to connect with you on that deep level. So I do feel like this representing the biggest challenge that you have is maybe stepping out of your comfort zone, and stepping out of that comfort zone that expects a lack of reciprocation. So if you go within before this connection comes to you and you tell yourself, you know what, I deserve to have a even balanced emotional exchange. I deserve to have somebody who meets me on this level, this level, this level, this level. You are going to manifest a partner that is spiritually adept, that is emotionally adept, that is financially adept, that has goals, that has an individual personality, those kind of things. I couldn't help but laugh when I pulled the card for your greatest joy in this relationship, because you got joy. Like, it literally says that right here. This is the 3 of Cups, or 3 of Vessels in this deck. And this is talking about, I think, I'm not quite sure what type of birds they are, but I am being called to the coloring on them, which is red, black, and white, which all are original colors. They are colors that were, I think every language in the entire world has a word for red, black, and white. And black and white are the polarity between, like, you know, what we would consider light and dark, the presence of light and then the absence of light. And then red is just a very intense and passionate color. So I feel like this person is going to have, they're going to meet you at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it's going to be intense. I feel like this is going to be a connection where the joy is something that you are going to hold very dear to your heart. This is going to be something where you can bring this person also into many other spaces in your life. I do feel like this may indicate that you're going to meet this person in a more social situation, in a place where you are around a lot of other people and they stand out to you. This could be like a work setting, or I'm getting the idea that it has to do with like a more career-based setting. So this also could be a school setting if you're younger and in school. But it's something that's a little bit more social, but also like forward focused. So focused on like the betterment of society, the betterment of your personal career development. But this is going to be, in terms of your individual connection, it's going to be something that I think is emotionally fulfilling to you. And the reason why I think that is because we have the Two of Cups here describing the connection overall, and this literally says attraction. I do feel like these people are touching here to, well, I don't even know if they're people, it's a horse and a buck, but they are touching up here. They have this heart that's on fire, it's passionate, it's driven, it has that energy. They're connecting, making a circuit, right, of that energy that is going back and forth. It's an even exchange. They both have their hand raised, and then they both have their hands that are pointing down and filling cups that I would imagine, if there was a next step to this card, they would give to each other. So I do feel like this is something where this person is going to help you digress and understand your emotional self in the past, help you kind of work through that, and it's definitely healing. I feel like this is a very even and balanced relationship, especially with this person being described earlier as the ecstatic bikini, who is talking about like protection from attacks of the mind, protection for your astral body, protection for your spiritual self. One thing that I think you should focus on heading into this connection and focus on releasing before you head into this connection, before you find this person, or if you've already found this person, as you're in the beginning stages of this relationship, we have the Eight of Arrows or Eight of Swords, which says struggle. And I think that you're at the end of a very long journey alone. You're going to want to get rid of some of the ways that you've internalized things as somebody who is doing things alone, feels like they have to go at things alone, and also release those restrictions you may be holding on the way that you communicate, the things that you want to open up to about, like in a romantic connection, realizing that you're going to maybe have to open up about those secrets, about those things, those hurts in the past that you've learned about. And also I think that this is talking about going back within and seeing exactly how, like mapping out all those hurts that you've experienced and kind of putting them to rest. If you also have any past relationships that you're still unsure of how that affected you, maybe going back within and meditating on those relationships, on those circumstances, and being like, okay, yeah, this made sense, this made me feel this way, and like clearing up any old energy and like sending it out. I'm getting the idea of like a broom, like someone who's sweeping out the old energy, dusting off things. Also, I just got the phrase dusting off your altar, so maybe switching things around on your altar if you do have an altar that has like spiritual significance to you, something like that. And one last thing to keep in mind, pile one, is the Green Woman or the Empress in this deck. And I think the Green Woman in this deck is a little bit different. I think that this is connected to nature. Something that I think that you should keep in mind is your connection to nature, your connection to the earth, your connection to connections in general. And I think that this Green Woman is also, at least whenever I see this card, I think it's talking about your spirit guides, your spiritual team that is helping you, because she has these little companions with her. And I feel like this Green Woman is also above this pot. It's above this like cauldron, this mix of things that is all coming together and making something beautiful and making something that is going to be beneficial for you in the long term. So it's all these different elements that are coming together to help you. Finally, with your last oracle card to close out this message, we have the card that says, I reside in the present moment where I find my ability to co-create with the universe. So this card, I do think, is talking about being mindful of what you're manifesting. I think that it's something that's important to this group. For some reason, I was just reminded of scrying. So if you scry, I think that trying to open up your third eye, there's something about your third eye that needs to be unblocked. So also Reiki that deals with third eye healing, but something that's going to help you see and envision where you want to be. There's something that I feel like would help you is like writing out possible scenarios of like kind of having a more concrete idea of who you want in a, like and who you want to be in a romantic partnership, because I feel like your spirit guides are bringing in who they think and who they know is going to help you elevate yourself. But you also, and I think you've done a lot of conceptualizing, okay, who do I want in a relationship? But I think also you need to be like, how do I want to respond in a romantic connection? What kind of partner do I want to be? How do I want to carry myself in a romantic sphere? That kind of a thing. Otherwise, I think that you have done a lot of work. I'm really proud of you, Pile 1. I honestly think that you are headed in a really good direction, and I think that this connection is going to be something that is somewhat of a relief to you, something that is going to make you feel cared for and protected, and I'm just very excited for you. So I hope to see you in another video, and I hope you have a blessed day as well. Bye. Howdy, Pile 2. So if you selected the Angelite crystal, or just Pile 2 in general was calling your name, this is going to be your next relationship reading. So I've already channeled all the cards, and I also set the intention and lit the candles off camera to call in our higher guides of wisdom, truth, compassion, ultimate alignment that have our best interests at heart and in mind. So I want to get started with the Buddha Wisdom Oracle cards that I pulled to describe you and describe your person of interest that is coming into your life or is already lingering in your reality. So sometimes we already know somebody and we don't even realize that they are going to be a significant person in our lives. But we're just going to describe them to either affirm that or to give you something to look out for. So you, as the viewer, are described as Para, the ancient tantric mother goddess, origin of all goddesses. Mother energy pours forth life. So I feel like this is strong. You have a more feminine expression in the world. You like to receive. You also like to be a nurturer. You like to be somebody that shows others compassion. I do feel like you're more emotional than being like logical or rational. I do feel like you are somebody also that is not afraid to go after what they want. You are not afraid to assert your position, and also you may have, there's something about the physical world, you may be very earthy or an earth sign too, because I do feel like this is very earthy energy, but I feel like there's something about the way that you carry yourself, the way that you present yourself, and I do think that you're somebody that people go to for emotional advice, and you're very possibly like clairvoyant or claircognizant, like you know what's going to happen in the future. I do feel like you're already anticipating this person. You've already had some kind of like telepathy. I don't know why I had an issue saying that, but telepathy with this person. I do feel like you may have, it's some kind of like spiritual higher connection with this other person that you're bringing in, and I do feel like you've already been anticipating this relationship coming in. So I think that there's a certain amount of knowing, a certain amount of like intuition that has been happening for you regarding this connection, and whether you've been wanting to manifest this or not, you know that it's on its way. So the person that is coming into your reality soon, the next romantic partner you're going to have, they are being represented as the 8 manifestations of Padmasambhava, the lotus-born one. A great teacher is a treasure, seek to find one. I do feel like, for sure, this connection is a twin flame connection. This is something that this person is going to be somewhat of a mirror to you. They're going to show you a lot of the different ways that you possibly behave differently in different situations and have different ideas regarding different ways that you interact with life. So for example, you may act one way in a career sense, you may act a different way around your family, you may act a different way completely from either of those two situations around your friends, and vice versa, all those different things. So I feel like this person is going to be somewhat of a chameleon. I'm also getting Aquarian energy, so this person could be somewhat rebellious, somewhat out of the norm. They may be somebody that is a different physical appearance or different expression, like they could be a different identity than somebody that you have been interested in the past. I also am picking up on Pisces energy, so Pisces or Aquarius, but this person could be emotionally, like they express themselves differently in a lot of different situations. They don't really have one clear expression. We also have So I asked questions as I pulled tarot cards from the Wildwood Tarot. We have this first question was, what is going to be the biggest like obstacle or biggest challenge to this connection? Okay, the biggest obstacle that we have in this relationship is going to be represented here as the Mirror or the Hanged Man. So this card depicts, I honestly think this is one of the most beautiful tarot cards I've ever seen. And this card depicts this person who is in a body of water, and they are holding the moon up with their hand and a mirror in the other hand. And when I see this card, I do feel like this is someone holding, it's representing a reflection, and it's also representing when we are having difficulty facing a certain reflection of ourselves. So like I said, this person is going to be a twin flame, and if you don't resonate with the twin flame journey, at least this is a person that is going to reflect something to you that is very reminiscent of you in the past, and it's going to be a little difficult for you to face this past version of yourself and also effectively communicate where you've come from, and that is not what is affecting you currently. So I do feel like also with this, like, there's this dead body being put away, like cast away to sea in the background. So I feel like that is the old version of yourself, an old concept of yourself that you may have difficulty getting rid of, you may have difficulty leaving behind. And I also think here with this little coin bag, I was drawn to that. I think that you may have some difficulty financially or have to confront your relationship with money going into this connection. There may be something, I think it's about like splitting pay on dates or something. There's something that has to do with also if you move in with this person quickly or something, there's some kind of like splitting finances that might be an issue for you. So maybe facing the way before you head into this connection, facing the way that you deal with money, the way that you conceptualize money, the way that you handle it, is going to help you going into this. As far as the joys in this relationship, usually I wouldn't take 2 cards, I would just reshuffle, but this collection of cards right here was a little bit uncanny for me to just ignore, because as far as your joys, it's being described as the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords together. So I think that this is the balance of the masculine and the feminine, obviously, but in terms of air energy, which is more of our mental processes, the way that we communicate, I think that this person is going to open up something within you that has to do with how you communicate, how you allow yourself to be vulnerable, how you realize that you are ultimately in control of the way that you present yourself. And I also think that this relationship is going to balance those masculine and feminine energies within yourself. It's going to do something that is going to make it so that you are able to pursue someone in a relationship. You're able to have that active energy. You're able to allow some of that, some of those things that you know to be like structures in your life, those things that you're not willing to sacrifice in a relationship, to be more apparent to you, while also allowing some things to be more malleable, allowing some things to be a little bit more undefined. So, and that's the more feminine energy. And I think also this is in the space where you allow things to transform, where you allow things to change, where you allow this unwritten part of our life, the uncertain aspects of our life, to unfold, where you let that happen, you also are allowing yourself to receive something while not letting go, not sacrificing those things that you know to be true about yourself. So there's a lot of self-discovery, I feel like, that is happening through this relationship, especially with the Mirror card that we were just talking about as well. And I think that this also is meeting, something that I heard when I was getting these cards ready was also that you are almost meeting yourself in another person. So this is going to be somewhat feeling like this person is on the exact same level as you in terms of communication. You're gonna see, okay, well, if I have an issue with this person, the way that they're communicating, the way that they're thinking, the way that they're unbudging on certain ideologies, certain philosophies, am I like that? You know, you're gonna do a lot of like self-introspection based on how this person treats you, based on the interactions that you have with this person. So there is a certain amount of balanced nature with this and like counterpart energy that will happen with that, and I think that that's what's going to be very you're gonna find gratitude in that. In terms of this connection as a whole, we have the Queen of Bows or the Queen of Wands, and this is represented by the hair, which is quick moving. This is fast and passionate energy, creative energy as well. I do think that this is in regards to physical connection. I think that that's going to be something that's very quick and like right off the bat about this person. There's something about learning about yourself, learning about your history through the sexual interaction that you have with this person. I do think that this connection is going to open you up sexually to other things, to things that maybe you haven't experienced before. And I also think that this connection is going to be, it's going to be new, but it's also going to remind you of all the ways that you haven't been fulfilled in the past in other connections. And it's going to point out the reality of what you want in a relationship. And also, if you are a creative person, I think this is almost like creative fuel for you. I think that it's going to inspire you, and it's going to make you want to have more of like incorporate love and romance and all those good positive feelings that you get from this connection into other areas of your life, other ways that you perform love. So I think that this is going to be inspiring for you in general. Something to keep in mind heading into this connection is the star card, or the pole star in this deck. And I think that this is like, it's showing a person by themselves. It's showing somebody going in, and I also think the word that comes to mind here is faith. It's devotion. It's seeing that you are being guided exactly where you need to go for a reason. There's always a higher purpose. You always have your higher self up here that is omniscient. It already knows all the little inner workings of what's happening. It already knows what you need spiritually. It already knows what you are going to need to develop about yourself. So I think it's more of trusting, having faith that timing, like divine timing, is also something that's coming up here. And again, this is Aquarius energy, so this could be reflecting that you're an Aquarius as well, or you have heavy Aquarius in your chart. It's seeing that you are being protected and that you're not going to have to stay in a space for a longer amount of time than you need to be. So if you are feeling alone, if you are feeling like you're having to do things by yourself, Spirit is never going to keep you in one place that you've outgrown for too long. Like, you are always going to be prompted into the next place that you need to be spiritually. Finally, we have a card from the deck that I made, and it says, I am an important part of my social network. And I do think that this is possibly, if this relationship is very intense for you at the beginning, I think that having a good group of friends, a group of family members, some people that are in your immediate surroundings that are going to help you out, and also maybe be your confidants or something, or some people that even if you don't feel comfortable explaining what is happening in your romantic life to these people, just maintaining those relationships, maintaining those connections with people, knowing who you can turn to if you need to talk about something is going to be really important, and I believe very helpful for you when you're heading into this relationship. I also think that this could be an indication that this person is somebody that you already know. Because I do think that this energy is a lot closer for you, pile 2, and I think that this is going to be a connection that comes to you within the next month at least, or at most. Like, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if you understand more about this connection and who this person is in your life within the next week. So Otherwise, I don't think that I have any other messages for you, Pile 2. I was very honored to read for you. I also want to thank your higher guidance, higher wisdom, higher self, and spirit guides that came through to help me facilitate this message today. Otherwise, I will see you in another video, and I hope that you have a blessed and abundant day. Bye. Howdy, Pile 3. If you selected Pile 3, or this pink granite stone, this is going to be your next romantic relationship reading, which I'm going to preface as we get into this, like, I don't know if this pile is actually going to be in a romantic relationship anytime in the near future. I just am not getting that that is where you need to be focused right now. And if this isn't resonating right now, this may not be the video for you, or this may not be the pile for you. If another pile was calling to you, that may be it. But I really think that this group is on a self-development journey at this point in their lives whenever you find this video. And I think your guides are really just asking you to deepen that relationship with yourself, because we have this card that is describing you as the viewer, Pile 3. And this card says, 1,000 armed Avalokiteshvara, he who looks compassionately upon the earth. Quiet compassion is sometimes the best course. And for me, the quiet compassion here is quiet compassion for yourself, compassion for the part of you that desires a relationship, compassion for the part of ourselves that feels like we need to do everything at once, that we need to have everything at once, compassion for other people who are in similar life circumstances that we may be in at that point in time, compassion for our past selves that also may need our current self to tend to those wounds, to take care of those things. And I think also with all the faces that are at the top, all these different manifestations of the like skills and the different emotions that you as a being can express. I'm also getting a lot of water energy. So I do feel like you could be a water sign, or you have heavy water energy in your chart. But I do feel like this is looking at all the different expressions of ourselves, all the different emotions that we experience, all the different ways that we interact with different circumstances that we're put in. And this card is describing the person, or is supposed to be describing the person that we would be in a relationship with next. And this even says, this is Dorje Drolo, the crazy wisdom, wrathful Buddha. Let go of being logical, a higher wisdom will guide you. I do think that this is talking, this, if it's a person, is way far, and I don't want to like make you feel disappointed, but I think if you've looked into any other video, your guides would probably point you in the same direction, that maybe a relationship is not where your focus should be at this current moment in time, but that they're already taking care of it. This is a guide that is coming through and saying, listen dear, like listen honey, I got this all figured out for you. Like, you don't need to be worried about this. You don't need to know who this person is going to be. You don't need to know any of the details, you know? Let go. You're being guided in the direction that you always need to go in. Right now, you need to focus on yourself. And this is talking about logic. This is talking about wisdom. This is talking about learning too. I do feel like this is tapping into, specifically for a lot of you, I feel like you're in a time in your life where something is shifting, where you are going in a new career path, where you are figuring something out about the way that you interact with the world, the way that you get your abundance from the world as well. That's why that's that career thing. But it's also learning the information that you need to learn, educating yourself on the things that you're passionate about, educating yourself on things that are going to improve your everyday life, that are going to be good outlets for you. So I feel like this is a two-sided energy for you right now. In one way, it's strengthening that, because of all this fire energy, it's strengthening the passion that you have, the passions that you know are true, that learned wisdom. And then also describing a person that is going to come in, that is also going to be that wise, older soul, like that kind of soul connection that you really desire. You've got that handled, like Spirit's taking care of that, but you gotta invest in yourself first. So I have some more cards that are tarot. They're gonna kind of dive into this connection, just your connection with yourself specifically right now. We have the Death card that is describing the obstacle that you are going to face in this relationship, and this is I think it's called the journey in this deck, and I think that that's letting certain things, like I'm being called to how he's like pulling, this crow is pulling the like meat off of the skull. I think it's letting the old you, the old patterns that you've been in, decay, letting those things fall away, understanding that those were there to serve you, understanding that this is a journey, that life is a journey, and that right now you're at kind of a point where you have to let the old things die. So like in terms of like the Fool's journey, so like through the major arcana, when it hits death, death isn't even the last card in the major arcana, because it's not the end all the time. When we are at a point in our life where we feel that chaos, we feel the chasm of energy, we feel those openings, we feel that emptiness, that is opening us up to allow for other things to be poured in, for us to be fulfilled by other things that we just don't understand possibly are going to have room to come in. But we have to let the death, the destruction, the decay, all those things soak into our energy, soak in, so that we can understand what we needed to learn from those things. And I think that there's somewhat of in your energy right now is learning how to accept when things are gone, when something has been temporary in our lives. And I think that this also relates to relationships that you may have just been in, relationships in your past that you maybe didn't want to end, but Spirit said, you know what, I got to take the reins. The lesson has been learned. There's something better for you. And I do really think that this person is going to come in and just know how to treat you, a person in the future. But I just don't think that that's where our focus should be right now. Our focus should be the things that we may have already had fall away, those things that have died, being able to mourn those things as well. As far as the greatest joy of this relationship, we have Queen of Pentacles, or Queen of Stones, which is a bear. And I think of a bear, I'm thinking of hibernating, and also this bear has just come out of hibernation. They're seeing the sun for the first time. They're seeing the sun after a long winter, a long period of self-growth, a long period of hiding away from the world, getting in touch with themselves. And I think that that's describing you. This is going to be the greatest joy that comes out of this relationship that you have with yourself, is really understanding yourself, seeing yourself as a whole person, seeing yourself as a grander and greater expression of yourself. A bear is a really big and comforting animal, like a teddy bear, you know. I think some bears can be a little scary, they can be a little intimidating, but I don't think that that's really what this energy is being called to. I think it's that like comforting, like soft teddy bear type thing. It's like you're really softening yourself around the edges. You're seeing how you are a wonderful person in other areas of your life, how you're a great friend, how you are a great family member, how you are a wonderful spiritual being, how you have passion, how you have a drive in your life purpose. I think that this is also talking about gaining material abundance from your passions. I think that this is gaining that relationship with yourself that is connected to certain other areas in the world. When you have interests that are defined, that are well endowed, if you would, you are going to be fulfilled in many different spaces. Like maybe you find a passion or a hobby or something that just fills you up emotionally, so that you don't feel like you have to get that kind of emotional fulfillment from a relationship or from another person. So I do think that this is finding that material abundance around yourself, around what you already have, and kind of getting financially stable, financially grounded, and allowing yourself to receive those opportunities that need to come to you financially before you are so worried about your emotions. And I think that this is a wonderful joy to have from a relationship. Describing this relationship as a whole, we have the Ace of Pentacles, or Ace of Stones, which says the foundation of life. And I do think that this is talking about how this relationship with yourself is going to bring you more abundance. It's going to bring you that long-term stability, because for me, when I was not quite so sure of what I wanted to do with myself long term, of the goals that I wanted to have materially, of those ways that I wanted to provide for myself, I wasn't really sure if I could spend all that much time investing in myself. I didn't really know how to go about it. And I think once you make that dedication and that commitment to yourself to invest in your long-term stability, in your long-term self, in your passions, you are going to see the fruits of your labor pretty quickly. And that's what this Ace of Pentacles is representing. It's representing something that's long-term. It's this big rock right here, this thing that you can go back to, almost like developing a plan, developing something for yourself that you know you're going to be provided for, that you also are strengthening your spiritual self, your acknowledgement that there are other higher powers at force that are watching out for your greater good, that are going to be sending you in the right direction where you can do what you want to do. Finally, something that you need to keep in mind as you head into this relationship, as you start developing this relationship with yourself, we have the Guardian or the Devil in reverse. And I think that this is not holding on to old narratives about ourselves, old beliefs about ourselves. Specifically, I do think that there's an emphasis on that money, on the physical part of reality. I think that that's something that you're not quite as comfortable with. Whatever like socioeconomic status that you're at, I do feel like there is something that has to do with financial stuff that you maybe have doubts about. You maybe don't feel like you have every resource available to you. You may have grown up in a circumstance, because I'm getting the idea that you are somebody that maybe wasn't provided for materially all that much as a young person, possibly in childhood, but maybe not in your adolescence, or in your adolescence as well, it carried over. But you have this like kind of fear when it comes to financial abundance. You have some kind of fear when it comes to your material stability and having all the things that you need provided to you. And so some of those beliefs that linger are like, oh, I'm not very good at getting a job. It's really hard to get a job. I don't have the motivation to apply to all these places. I don't have the motivation to look into the different business tools that I may need to set up like an independent business, things like that. So it's some terms of like not believing in yourself. And I apologize for the airplane noise in the background, I'm sorry. But I think that this is accepting stagnation. This is because the devil is usually representing, like, traditionally, when we think of it as a concept, the devil or the devil's work is stagnation. It is anything that hinders our forward movement. It is energy that does not serve us. That's why we refer to negative energy as associated with evil forces, because that energy keeps us stuck. It keeps us exactly where we are and prohibits us from believing in ourselves to move forward. So I think that there is something, some belief, some pattern that prevents you from taking the actions and having the conversations and believing in yourself in the way that you need to move forward and to be that fuller expression of yourself. So that's something to keep in mind. And finally, we have from a deck that I made, it says, my happiness is a choice I make and pursue actively. So yeah, this is definitely finding your happiness, finding the part of you that is fulfilled from just being with yourself, from your own energy, from the way that you store energy and you present your energy to the world, and the way that you love yourself and you know you want to be loved. And I think that recognizing that choosing to be happy is something that we can do in our everyday is going to really help you get to that place where you feel fulfilled. You feel like you don't need somebody else. And I think that that's a beautiful energy to step into. So I was very honored and very blessed to read for you today. I want to thank your higher guides of ultimate wisdom, truth, compassion, and your higher self if they came through. And I also wanted to thank you for watching my video, and I will see you in another one. Bye. Howdy, pile 4. If you selected pile 4 or this fire opal, then this is going to be your next romantic relationship and what you can expect, what kind of energy you're drawing in from a romantic partner. So, when I was going into this reading, I expected this relationship to be somewhat a more fulfilling relationship, I guess, for you. And I anticipated that this was going to be more intense, but I do feel like there is something that is a little bit fearful from you going into this, that you are on one hand excited, on one hand you're really anticipating something that's going to be good, but also that there's some lingering karma that needs to be worked out in order for this to not be something that's scary. You need to be in the right mindset going into this relationship, and I feel like that's why you've stumbled upon this video. So, to describe you, we're gonna go with the oracle cards that were in place for the pile selection part, and the other oracle card that I had, I've put it to the side, and this is one that I made from a deck. But anyway, we have the Buddha Wisdom oracle deck that is going to describe you and then describe the person that you're drawing in. So this is you, and this is the Buddha Dakini, the white Buddha family of the center. Replace ignorance by studying spiritual teachings. So you also have a guide that is somewhat strong-willed. You have a guide that is trying to push you to do some intense shadow work. That's all I can describe it as, because it is like, I'm almost feeling like there's like stiffness in my body. There's something about this guide that is reminding you, like, have you stretched your emotional muscles? Have you stretched your physical body to try and get that energy moving? Is there some sort of stagnation that you've held? Is there some belief systems that are kind of chalking up your system? And that's why I think if you are somebody who studies like religious things or spiritual things, finding a book, yeah, I'm envisioning somebody reading. I was gonna say like a video or something, but no, I do really feel like this is something that you need to like read into, some kind of ancient wisdom that's going to help you, or also getting in touch with your ancestral spirit guides. There's some ancestor spirit guide that really wants to deliver a message to you or send you some kind of feeling that if you intentionally seek out their guidance, they're going to be there to deliver that message for you. So, and that's also reflected in another card that I have up here that I'll touch on in a minute. But we have also describing this person, the eight-armed Kuan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. When stuck in anger, cultivate compassion. I feel like this person is going to see that you have a lot of residual anger, residual emotional baggage that follows you. And this person being described as the Bodhisattva of compassion, this person is really going to meet you. Oh, I want to cry. On an emotional level, this person is going to show you a level of compassion that you haven't been shown before, and it's going to leave you somewhat speechless. And I think this person is also very heart-centered. They're going to explain to you in a gentle and loving way maybe where you could improve. I do feel like this person ultimately wants you to improve, but they're going to have to see you from where you're operating, and they're going to really, I'm getting the idea that they're going to see your past as exactly what it is and maybe even dictate it back to you in a more informed way than you would even be able to describe it yourself. Okay, so this card here, the Ace of Swords or arrows in this deck in reverse that says the breath of life. This I feel like is, because this is in terms of your greatest obstacle in the relationship, and this is like, I'm seeing it as like a rocket kind of being shot up into the air, and it's on like this symbol that is about forward movement. So I do feel like this relationship for you is going to test your patience. It's going to test the way, like how emotionally close you want to be with somebody. I do feel like it's going to reveal to you some certain I feel like you have this tendency to, on one hand, be like, no, I don't need you, and then on the other hand, also be like, oh, but I am very invested. Like, it's almost like, the pendulum swings back and forth between anxious and avoidant for you in terms of like attachment type things. You are overly attached, you have these like strong attachment styles, but then also at the same time you want to detach, but like to a fault, to the point where you're not like emotionally connecting. And I feel like that's going to be revealed to you, so it's going to take some time to kind of balance that out within yourself heading into this relationship if you don't do a little bit of that inner work that your guides have been urging you to do heading into this relationship. It's going to add more chaos. As far as the joy in this relationship, it's really interesting. Your guides wanted to explain this as the Eight of Swords, or a struggle, and I do feel like this, rather than being like, since it's describing the greatest joy in this relationship, I do think that rather than being a disconnect or something where it's difficult for you to describe yourself to this person and present yourself to this person, or like a block in communication, I feel like in the context of the question, like what is going to be the greatest joy, it's going to be difficult for you to even describe this person to another person that you know in your life, like to family members, friends, because this connection is going to be so wordless between you and this person, because this person is going to have so much compassion for you. They're going to understand where you're coming from on a level that other people may not understand. That's why I think that I was picking up on this connection being very intense, being something that's super fulfilling for you, because it's going to get you to see your darkest sides, see your see where you may have like not met up to exactly where you needed to be in the past, and I think you're not going to have to feel like you're doing everything completely alone anymore. I feel like this person is going to have been through similar struggles as you, and so you don't feel like you've had to go through all of that for nothing anymore. You're going to see the purpose of your struggle. And in terms of this connection overall, the card that describes it is the Two of Pentacles, or Two of Stones in this deck, and this says challenge. So I think I was being drawn to like these blue flowers down here, like little bluebells, and I do feel like the flowers here represent something beautiful growing in the spring. Like, this is a springtime card. This is, oh, you could also potentially be meeting this person in the spring, or I feel like for some of you, you're going to meet this person in spring, like the next spring, or you've already met this person and you met them in the springtime. So take that as it resonates. This person may, I feel like, already be in your life because it's such a solid and direct energy that you have connected to this person already. I do feel like this is a more close connection, like something that is already in your reality. But with this being described as a challenge, I do feel like it's the balance. It's going to take some arguing. It's going to take some commitment to the connection in order to balance it out. It's going to be something where it's not easy. It's not something that's just handed to you. It's not something that you feel like you just get. But I feel like it's more fulfilling because you work for it, and because the arguments that you have are directly to align with your greater good. It is pushing you in that direction. So I do feel like this is something that is, it's that balance. It is seeing the ultimate goal of an issue, of a relationship. You're going to meet each other on a level that is more real, it's more human, and it's not so clouded, it's not so like overwhelmed by emotions. And I think that that's also why it's described here as the Two of Pentacles. It's earthy, it is grounded, it is based in reality. Finally, something to keep in mind heading into this connection, here we have the Stag. And the Stag, I think, is describing, usually I see this as more of like an ancestral energy. That's why I mentioned earlier that you have an ancestor guide that you may want to connect with heading into this, because they may have some advice for you in terms of your love life. So calling someone in, doing some kind of work with that, asking for messages from ancestral spirit guides is going to help you. But I also think, again, this is earth energy, so I do think this could reflect this person is an earth sign, but I also was picking up that this person could be very heavy air sign. I'm thinking like Gemini, Libra, not really Aquarius, but Gemini or Libra. But also, sorry, I don't know why that just came through randomly, but with the stag, I think it's also talking about judgment. It's talking about using your discernment and understanding that there is divine forces at play that are going to be influencing the way that this unfolds, the way that this comes to you. So I think that recognizing that maybe you don't have full control over how this unfolds, and that's also where this patience comes in. I do think that this is reminding you that you need patience. You need patience with yourself, patience with your own healing, and patience with the things that maybe you realize that you don't know, coming with a student mentality into this relationship, realizing that, like, having that humility as well, realizing that you still have a lot of improvement that you can do, especially it's going to be revealed to you through the relationship. And finally, from this oracle deck, that is a card that actually I made, it says, "I accept my reality for exactly how it is. This releases me from anguish and allows me to transform." So I think that there's somewhat of like a blank slate that you need to have going into this relationship, that is really not having any expectations for this person, not having any preconceived notions of what you expect going into this connection. Seeing that when we have ideas that try to change our reality, that try to see our reality as, oh, it should be like this, it shouldn't have happened like this, when we don't accept exactly what we're given, when we don't allow for spirit to communicate with us, it makes it so that we feel this internal anguish, and it doesn't allow us to find the lessons, find the things that we need to learn from it. So otherwise, I think that that's it. I think that that's all I'm getting for you, Pile 4. I hope that this resonated. I hope that this uplifted you, and I hope that this made you excited for the future relationship that you are drawing in, and helps you realize that you're going to be taken care of. Everything's going to be okay. Otherwise, all of my information is in the description below if you'd like a personal reading, and I was very honored to have read for you today. I want to thank your guides, your higher wisdom, your higher self also, for helping me to facilitate this reading. Otherwise, I will see you in another video, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye!